It all began with a glimmer on August 6, 2025. A moment so ordinary in the sterile silence of a lab, yet so deeply unsettling in what it implied. The James Webb Space Telescope, humanity's most powerful eye on the cosmos, was forced into emergency override mode. Not for a supernova, not for a black hole, but for something far more local, and far more terrifying. A comet, or at least, something that looked like one, designated 3I Atlas. At first, astronomers assumed it was another interstellar visitor, cold, silent, and predictable. But when Webb's sensors locked onto it and the first stream of data arrived, what they saw wasn't just unexpected. It was impossible. Its chemical signature defied every model known to science. The ratios were grotesque, the elements mismatched, the behavior erratic. And as the numbers poured in, a quiet dread began spreading among astrophysicists across the globe. What if this wasn't a comet at all? What if this was something sent? The first sign came from its coma, the glowing shroud of gas surrounding its core. At 6 astronomical units from the Sun, a comet should be frozen and lifeless. Yet 3I Atlas was awake, violently active. Webb's instruments detected a surge of carbon dioxide, 8 times higher than water vapor. That 8-to-1 ratio wasn't just strange, it was unprecedented. Typical comets barely reach 0.7. Even Borisov, the last interstellar visitor, measured only 0.5. Something was wrong. Something was deliberate. It was venting carbon dioxide under conditions where nature would never allow it. And even stranger, its coma was ghostly thin, no dust, no debris, no chaos. Just pure gas, smooth and controlled, as if engineered to behave with mathematical precision. A system, not a storm. Then Webb picked up something far worse, nickel. Strong, consistent spectral lines in the ultraviolet and infrared. Not traces, floods. The closer it came, the stronger the nickel signature became. But where there was nickel, there should have been iron. And there was none. Across every telescope, Webb, Gemini, VLT, the readings were identical. Nickel dominated. Iron was gone. In nature, that never happens. Nickel and iron are born together in stellar forges, inseparable twins. 3I Atlas broke the rule. Nickel outweighed iron by more than 40-to-1. Such separation requires energy, machinery, intent. And yet here was an object drifting silently through space, performing this feat with no visible source of power. Even before the chemistry was decoded, the motion betrayed it. 3I Atlas was accelerating, but not like a comet pushed by sunlight or gas jets. It was too far, too cold for that. Yet over 72 hours, its speed increased measurably, by 0.12 meters per second squared. For an object 11 kilometers wide, that's immense. Like watching a cruise ship accelerate across a dead ocean with no engines. And there was rhythm, a flickering pulse every 7.2 hours. Brighten. Fade. Brighten again. Perfectly timed. Predictable. Not chaos, clockwork. The light curve looked less like reflection, and more like a signal. When natural explanations failed, only one possibility remained. 3I Atlas was engineered. Maybe it was a derelict probe, drifting from a civilization older than Earth's forests. Or maybe it was still active, still watching. A system that saw us and didn't care. Because no comet should glow with such precision, emit metallic gas without iron, accelerate without fuel, or pulse like a beacon in the dark. That's why Webb's override wasn't just technical. It was human. A reflex of fear. Because, quietly, everyone watching knew, this wasn't normal. This was contact. When the override command hit the telescope's controls, the world's most powerful observatory pivoted away from its deep field mission. At 2:17 Greenwich Mean Time, it locked onto 3I Atlas. The first packets of data changed everything. No IC signature. No dust trail. Just violent, unstable carbon compounds and nickel lines burning brighter than stars. It wasn't a comet. It was a chemical engine. The deeper they looked, the more impossible it became. Nickel without iron, precision without chaos, behavior without randomness. Someone, or something, had built this. But what chilled scientists most was its resonance. Hidden in the data was a faint, rhythmic electromagnetic pulse, too structured to be noise, too subtle to be communication. When the data was sonified, turned into sound, it formed a repeating pattern of prime numbers and Fibonacci ratios. A mathematical fingerprint. A frequency woven into its behavior. It wasn't shouting. It was leaving breadcrumbs. Then something even stranger happened. Earth started to answer back. Across Antarctica, Argentina, and Western Australia, geophysicists detected ultra-low frequency pulses emerging from within the Earth itself, perfectly spaced at 7.2-hour intervals. The same rhythm as 3I Atlas. Not from the sky, but from deep within the planet. The Earth was resonating. Something buried in its ancient systems had begun to hum, faintly, rhythmically, as if responding. As if remembering. When scientists plotted the object's course, they found precision that defied physics. 3I Atlas didn't drift, it navigated. Its path curved cleanly around gravitational wells like a probe executing a planned route. In simulations, its trajectory matched engineered flight paths with 92.6% accuracy, the kind NASA uses for controlled spacecraft maneuvers. And when projected forward, the path led to a narrow corridor near Saturn, a theorized gravitational null point. A gate. A route out. But before Webb could continue observations, everything changed. The object went dark. Within hours, its chemical and thermal emissions flatlined. Nickel lines vanished. Carbon dioxide outflow ceased. The beacon stopped. Not a fade, a shutdown. It had finished something. Every telescope confirmed it. It was as if 3I Atlas had completed its task. And then, impossibly, it changed course, not outward but inward. Toward the inner solar system. Toward us. 3 separate radar stations, Goldstone, Arecibo, and China's Fast Array, confirmed the shift. This was not random drift. This was navigation. And it was heading straight for a region of stable gravity between Earth and Venus, a zone where several satellites had recently reported unexplained interference. Meanwhile, at MIT, an AI trained on Webb's data found something buried in the emission patterns, a helix structure embedded within the chemical sequences. Not language. Not random. But a geometric code. A structure echoing the earliest blueprints of life, RNA patterns, recursive ratios, molecular symmetries. A template. What if 3I Atlas wasn't just mechanical? What if it was biological, or something between? A seed. A program. A system designed not to observe but to awaken. Then came the moon. Radar pings sent toward 3I Atlas bounced back from the far side of the lunar surface, 0.23 seconds too early, and modulated with the same pulse pattern seen in the object's emissions. When data from 2017's Oumuamua passage was re-examined, the same modulation appeared, faint, but identical, from the same coordinates. It wasn't coincidence. It was memory. Something buried beneath the moon's crust had heard this signal before. And now, it was answering. 2 weeks after the blackout, Webb resumed its normal deep field scans. But in the background of distant quasars and exoplanets, a strange dimming pattern emerged, rhythmic, synchronized, forming a repeating sequence. 7 pulses, then silence. Every observation lined up with the same corridor that 3I, Atlas had crossed. It wasn't a random signal. It was a chain. A relay. A countdown. The realization hit like a whisper in a storm. This wasn't a comet broadcasting a message. It was running a program. A sequence too clean to be random. A trajectory too deliberate to be natural. A rhythm too exact to be coincidence. And now, echoes of that sequence are bouncing off the moon, humming beneath our feet, and flickering across the stars. We thought we were alone because space was silent. But silence doesn't mean safety. It means something is listening. Maybe 3I, Atlas didn't come here to explore. Maybe it came to test. To verify a connection. To awaken a system older than humanity itself. And once it did, it simply stopped. No warning. No message. Just silence. Because the scariest discoveries aren't always the ones we see. They're the ones that were waiting for us to look. This is Nabrix, and if this object was just the beginning, then whatever comes next has already started. Subscribe, because the next visitor won't announce itself. It will just arrive.